Good evening, United fans. Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat. Welcome again to Stretford, Pinoy Stretford Enders. Wala pa palang changes done.
Uh,
So, welcome again. I'm Jeff. Here's Gary again. Of course, joining us tonight is, of course, Attorney Charles. We have Kent, and we have two new panelists for tonight. We have Julio and Noel. Good evening, sirs. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Evening.
Hope it's gonna be a banging show. And it's a Saturday special because I think since we started this stream, it's the first time that we kind of lost terribly.
Mhm.
I was trying to invite other panelists, our regulars. Di rin nila kaya panoorin yung replay. So, parang hirap
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
May
that's
ganyan may
isang
ganyan talaga.
beses lang.
yeah, that's part of it, man. If you're gonna do something like this, then you gotta watch everything: the wins, the losses, the draw.
Yep,
So,
yep. Yep.
I'm gonna try to compromise. I'll watch the 20-minute highlights. So that's my take on it. The Leicester game I saw live, medyo napuyatan parami nila Charleston, di ba?
Yeah.
But two losses nonetheless. But for me, there's two contrasting losses. We did pretty well against Leicester, except for that freaking winning goal off the corner by Soyuncu, because we actually owned Soyuncu when we
Mhm.
had the ball, right? Our wingers Ahmad and um, Elanga,
Anthony Alanga.
actually.
Si
Yeah,
Anthony
Elanga.
Elanga.
They freaking owned Leicester. I mean, for their age and for the context that they were thrown into, they did pretty well. Too bad we lost. We didn't get a draw. But the Liverpool game was, I mean, they were distracted.
Hard
Mm.
to watch.
I watched the 20-minute highlights. I tried to wake up for the 3:15 game, but I couldn't. Ano yung buti na lang, no? Sayang sayang
Buti lang,
sa puyat.
buti lang hindi tayo napuyat natin.
Yeah. So, sige, Gary, I want to hear your thoughts on these two losses. What do you think? Were they different? Were they the same? What? And you said you kept quiet this whole weekend since Thursday about your thoughts on those games. So let's hear it, man.
Okay. First of all, I could care less about the Leicester game because basically everybody knew, we all knew going into that game, rotation would happen. And Ollie's been very vocal about it, and we played it out, and we almost won. Medyo rookie mistake lang with Ollie making the subs before a corner, which is actually something you don't do as a rule of thumb. So which brings me to the Liverpool game. I saw the replay, and I even yun, complete with shouting and everything. So okay, so I'm really gonna start by echoing Roy Keane's sentiments. So everybody here knows, what he really let loose after the game, and rightfully so. Kasi that was absolutely a poor performance outside of probably AWB and our forwards. Everybody else felt like they were on the beach, so to speak. Um, Parang they were playing not to get injured. It felt that way to me. And one particular player that Kino targeted was Fred, and rightfully so. I mean, this was absolutely a very bad game from him. For Roy Keane to say that, you're not gonna win back-to-back titles with McFred as your midfield, that says a lot. Okay, and I'm gonna start by saying this, and you guys can put this on loop. As Man United fans, as United supporters, we're allowed to lower our expectations. But what we do not lower is our standards. Kasi we've been there eh. We're the winningest team in England. We're the winningest team in the Premier League. So we have standards that need to be lived up to. Now, I can live with the thought, yun nga yung thought na yun eh, iniisip nyo, right now, McFred is first choice. Isipin mo yun, think about that. McFred is first choice sa midfield natin. Think about that. I would be happy with the thought if they were squad players, but the fact that their first choice, I'm not shitting on both of them, okay? Pardon my French. But doon tayo niyari ng Liverpool the whole game eh. That midfield. And it's not like they were playing well. We had them. We had them. Probably the only goal I can count to the goals that we conceded, except maybe for the Salah goal, was all down to mistakes. Ang daming errors. It felt like I was watching Van Hal all over again. Yung mga uncharacteristic errors na 'di ba na dating akala natin wala na, suddenly popped up. Now, that's probably related to our next topic, but I want to focus on the midfield. This is why we need to get that singular number 6. We need to get a CDM. And for me, it's more important for that CDM to play with the two center halves than, focusing on probably even getting a right wing, a forward, and another center back. People were saying na masyado tayong Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof look lost. Why not an idea? Total, a lot of teams are trying to get players from Lille. How about, si Botman? He's probably not as good with the ball at his feet, pero he's exceptional in the air. That's a suggestion. Pero going back to the midfield, for Roy Keane to say that, and for the younger United supporters, there was a time, probably circa 1995, 94 to 1999, where Roy Keane was one of the best central midfielders in the world. Ganun siya kagaling. People just equate him now with his temper and with what he has to say. Pero he did it for a reason. He's one of our longest serving captains. He's a club legend. So, and he's pointing out there's problems in midfield. Makikita mo talaga, may problema tayo doon. So that needs to be fixed. Diba? Immediate yun. We need a CDM. We need a CDM. I sound like a broken record, but I've been saying it for so long. We need one. Whether it's the passing type like Saul Niguez or Neves, or if we need a combative type like Indidi or si Declan Rice, we need that one person to hold the spine to allow the others to move forward. That yun lang. I'll leave the rest for the others.
Man, that was like poof, like floodgates wide open for Gary, man. I think I've said this before in a previous podcast in another stream na McFred is overachieving at this point. It's not like Cleverly and Anderson para. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson was on another level, so that he can get away actually with playing Cleverly and Anderson in midfield. But Keane's right. I mean, that's like an open secret among even football Twitter or United Twitter. If you're gonna play McFred as a midfield, we're not gonna. It's not a league winning or a title winning team, But enough about that. I wanted to go to Charles. Charles, how about you? It's your time to let loose on your pent up emotions from the past two games.
Right. Yeah, you can see I have this thing when I'm stressed out. There's this vein that comes out. Yeah.
Harry Potter vein ba yan?
Tsaka we're wearing black today because right now we are in mourning. Where the phone go? And the answer is it went straight with Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire was the thing that was apparently holding it all together. And when the Harry Maguire was removed from the equation, the McFred no longer made sense either. The cheese had moved, but unfortunately, at the time, syempre, hindsight is 2020. But then at the time, I think the coach still went with the McFred as the stable option. Kasi let's circle back. Why is there a need for two defensive holding midfielders? It's because you need to protect the two center halves. And why is that? Because they're both really slow. Okay? Si Bailly lang yung mabilis tumakbo dyan na center half. Si Lindelof, not so much. But then really, when you have Harry Maguire there, I have the numbers from FIFA in my head when it comes to pace. He's there because he's the guy who's going to head the ball away. Also, he's there because he is your ball-playing center back. At the same time, nung nawala siya, yun, na-expose yung frailties. Not just there in that center back position. I agree with Gary completely. It is a lack of a CDM. Kailangan talaga ng CDM. Kasi, again, circling back to what Gary said, Fred and McTominay cannot be our our two starting midfielders. It has to be Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba. Now, why do we not have Bruno and Pogba starting in the middle of midfield? It's because of this experiment where Pogba's being played way left as like parang a target man, a wide left target man, I suppose, and then dun may iba kang focal point dun. But really, it's because there is no central defensive midfielder from which Bruno and or Pogba can operate, no? Na parang they can just bomb forward. Like for example, I'm always gonna say get Cristiano Ronaldo back. I'm always gonna say get N'Golo Kante. We need that man behind our midfielders so that Bruno and Pogba can work their magic. But then, I think the main concern, what do we do for the rest of the season? We have just 2 more points, I think, no, Gary? If the information is correct,
2 out of 6.
2 more points out of 6 in order to secure Champions League points. Meaning, if we win,
Second place.
ay
Second place
one, second place na. Okay, so that's good. That's great. Except that we need to keep our players safe up until the Europa League final. No? So we have to keep Cavani healthy for that final. Kasi, kumbaga, yun na lang yung the one last thing to look forward to. And when we say yung mga pinagsasasabi ni Keane, actually I had that in my notes also. Really, he tore into what we had been doing. Kumbaga, it's as if walang na-accomplish yung management up until that point kasi medyo symbolic talaga yung laro sa Liverpool. And again, it's centered to the fact that there is no pacey defender, there is no pacey center back we can rely on. And I think the coach, if I'm not mistaken, the coach has a solution for that already. If I am reading the news correctly, this guy called Rafael Varane is
Oh man.
let's see, no? So, kailangan lang ni Harry ng isang tao na mabilis tumakbo na athletic na hindi injury prone. So, I don't know if the Varane is suitable.
Like to be fair, no, we like to rip into Fred because of the performance, but what we don't want is the racial things that are going on, like
Ay, wag.
extracurricular, comments
That's foul.
about him. So that's out of the question, guys. I mean, for all the fans out there, like, yeah, there are tendencies that you might blame, but that's not who we are. Like, that's not true United fans are, right? And taking off from what Charles said, though, yes, our two ideal central midfielders are really Pogba and then Bruno. But then again, you have to have that protection. And I think Ole is playing a hybrid 4-4-2. If you study the 4-2-3-1 formation, it's like a hybrid 4-4-2. Where he came from and how Alex was managing it before, but later on, we'll delve more into that. I want to welcome to the panel Julio, one
Hello.
of the pioneers of the United fans here in the Philippines. So, Julio, what are your thoughts on the past 2 losses? If you have any pent-up emotions, now's your time to rip it all out, man.
I guess on my part kasi as we grow older as a fan, I'm not entirely sure if being, let's say, toned down when it comes to seeing losses like that is the right thing to do. Venting out isn't either. So when I try to watch the replays, the full replay, since it's on Premier Football channel on the cable, it made sense as to why and how important Harry Maguire is to the team. Now, just to give you a bit of a background, when he used to play for Sheffield United, there are tips on YouTube if it helps you guys. He used to play in 2 positions, both as a center half or center back, and as a central defensive midfielder. That explains why some of the passes coming out from the back comes mostly from him directly, sometimes through his space, through his running, and another through his on how he screens the midfield, protecting the likes of Fred, sometimes Bruno and Pogba. If necessary, they have to stay in the central midfield. Now, when he transitioned all the way to Leicester and then to United, his game slightly changed a bit. He's become his pace has increased a bit. His defending, of course, improved given his experiences with England, and now playing with a club like Man United. Of course, he has to raise his game better. So after one season with United, na as we can all see, and I believe we've seen those numbers flashed on during the Aston Villa game, wherein he was first in all of the take-ons and all of those
Yeah,
tackles,
yeah, like
even the
first and
passes
everything.
completed. If you can check on the Premier League app, yung passes completed ng team, siya rin ang number one. More than Bruno and Pogba combined. So you could tell, one, we have an 8-ball center back who can really pass from the back, just like Rio back in the old days. And number two, it also exposes the midfield problem that
Right.
United has, even when Carrick was around. So you see, when Carrick was around, you have a midfielder kasi who can balance things out. Always helps to screen the midfield, even if kung nag-iisa lang siya supporting goals. When the likes of Anderson cleverly came around, even the days na nung nagko-coach si David Moyes and Louis van Gaal, he has that kind of midfielder who helps to screen both the center backs na this time, given yung kung paano maglaro ng pagbigay ng direction sila Moyes and Van Gaal as a team. And as we go on until sa present time na ni Oli, yun yung nawala kasi sa United. Nawalan kasi tayo ng midfielder kasi who can help screen them. With Maguire coming around sa team, that kind of help plug the gaps. Okay. It kind of presented another problem kasi parang ang nangyayari kasi, lalo na in the season, up until he got injured, Maguire, he was virtually playing in two positions in one, as a defender and as a central defensive midfielder. Well, sure, we can pinpoint also on his fitness because he's a very fit guy. Can you tell? Almost every game is already present. Almost the same as yung nung pagdating ni Bruno Fernandes. But when he was gone, you could tell na how much. It's not just how much you miss the player. It sounds a little sentimental, but how important a player like him with his technical ability, with his space, and how he protects both possessions kumbaga, when he's there. So when the Liverpool game came around, I mean, with the Leicester game naman, it's in a way, any loss naman kasi it's very hard to take, personally. But all the same, I'm very happy naman din with the Leicester game kasi we were able to see Amad Diallo, Anthony Elanga, some of the players that Oli said that deserve starts, including Tony van de Beek, playing the full 90 minutes or at least 60. But when the Liverpool game came around, it's not exactly writings on the wall. Just like what Gary said, we had them. Ako, I would count at least for a good 20-25 minutes we had them. Cavani even missed a chance the first 5 minutes. First 5 minutes. Yeah, sayang yun.
Sayang.
But as soon as Klopp, I believe he was able to make adjustments mid-game in the first half. That's when the goals came in. With Firmino scoring. I believe it was around the back. And when they somehow plugged the United midfield open with them harassing Fred all throughout the game, not just after the first 20 minutes. So they were completely exposed. No one was there exactly to protect them. I mean, we have a complete set of defenders naman that you have. So, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof and Bar, but they do not have the same feel ng protection that Harry Maguire provides.
Right.
Unfortunately, we only have one defender na ganon. There's one more actually, but he's still young. He's trying to develop his game. That's Axel Tuanzebe, because position-wise, he's really good. But the problem kasi now is, now that Harry Maguire's injured, in the next couple of games, malabo siya makapaglaro ulit. It's a leg of damage. It's no joke. Right now, Oli must be thinking, ano ang kailangan niyang i-rejig dun sa usual game plan niya na kadalasan puro na lang buong pala talaga forward. And then bahala na si Bruno Fernandes magdala. So what he's going to do, we'll have to find out in the next game against the Cottagers. Until then, we just have to wait and see what the game plan will be without Harry Maguire. It's a very daunting task, to be honest. We'll have to wait.
Thanks, Julio. I want to take off on your point na parang Harry was protecting two positions, the center back and then the midfield. That's exactly why the Leicester game worked a little better because we have Mai, you have Tuanzebe, then you have Matic. Matic is that midfield that we need.
Oh yeah,
but he's
forgot that.
freaking slow.
Yeah.
And in fairness to him, he was decent the whole game, except for those conceded goals. kasalanan niya yun eh. Parang part siya ng kasalanan dun eh. The first goal, di ba? The first goal, parang they got sucked in. And then the second goal, they just completely missed their mark. Their man, di ba? Zonal marking. I mean, not a fan still. But, kasalanan, parang may kasalanan siya sa both goals. But other than that, he was pretty decent as a ball carrier. He was a press breaker, basically. And when you come to the Liverpool game, you have Bailly, who's not a ball carrier. You have Lindelof, who's a bit of a ball carrier. And then you have McFred. So parang wala, si Lindelof na lang. And, nawala yung protection na binibigay ni Maguire. And that's why I think it didn't work. And you're right. Yung exposed, that it exposed our midfield lalo na. No? Kent, you watched that game live. I know. I backread the chats. You were watching it live. Ikaw, you have your own thoughts seeing it live. So take us through that and what can you say?
Grabe. First, nakakatuwa pa eh. Mga first 20 minutes. We know that it's a bit shaky kasi yun nga yung protest na nangyari before the game, and personally nung napapanood ko yun, nakikita ko sa SOCMED before the game, I was like, how will this affect our players? Ganun. So, but they held pretty well. Sayang yung chance talaga ni Cavani. Pakiramdam ko if it went in, mas yung nung laro eh. Pero eventually, parang parang sila nag-switch off. Though yung ang pinaka ko talaga, napansin ko talaga yung midfield, yung McFred, they were just like giving passes away. Si Scott madalas out of position. Si Fred masyadong malalim, parang ang kalat nila pareho. And yun nga, considering na sinabi earlier na si Maguire, talagang he's the one gluing everything together dun sa gitna and sa likod. Nung kumalat na yung dalawa, tas nung sila ng mga pasas, sabi ko, masama to. And eventually, ayun, everything just fell apart before halftime. Yun. That was just poor marking. Dun sa goal ni sa mga goals ni Firmino, I think may nagawa sana na mas maganda, and that fourth goal, well, it's just na pa rin ako kay Dean Henderson pagdating sa positioning dun sa fourth goal. Parang binigay niya lahat kay binigay niya kay Salah yung buong angle. That's why Roy Keane's also angry at him. Ang masasabi ko talaga, out of depth yung midfield. I mean, siguro naging kampante lang because it's we're good. Pero doesn't it just came down to to who really yung quality. Kumbaga, yung Scousers, pangit ng backline nila. Pero nakalimutan natin na yung midfield tsaka yung forward line nila very elite. So, parang yung down to earth na expectation ng fans. Kumbaga, nakalimutan natin let's look at it in the very constructive way. It's not our best roster, and again, gaya ng sinabi ninyo, we won't win a Premier League title with McTominay and Fred on the midfield. That's why we really need someone. Kung di natin mapapabata si Matic through any herbal measures, kailangan talaga natin kumuha ng mas dynamic.
Let's get yung time machine ng Avengers, kunin nyo si Roy Keane ng 1990s. Yon, sigurado tapos ang that fixes all our problems in midfield.
I mean,
warrior, no warrior.
Sinabi pala sa chat yung sabi ni Cap, we could have used Ander Herrera here.
Perfect. Actually, I missed out on that one.
Kasi
who was talking about that screening midfielder? Si Andrew yun eh. Kaso,
Thank you.
Magaling yung may-ari natin eh.
Hopefully this game na-expose yung mga kailangan natin for the summer. And parang maganda dito, parang we all crashed back to earth. We know where we stand, we know what to improve, and sila John Morto, they should know by that game what we need in the summer, what we need to boost for next season.
So just want to say hi to our commenters. Ayan, Julius, good evening, sir. We have Bruce, we have G. Then we have our commenters. We have Amir, Of course, yan. Okay yan, nag-reply ka sa comments. Yan. All right. So, sige, let's go to one of our new panelists today as well. We have Noel. Welcome to the show. He's one of our
Hi.
active chatters the past few episodes. Glad you can join us live.
Thank
To
you
be
for
fair
having me then.
thank you for making time. No? Like to be fair to the team, these are like blips. You know, we have had a fairly improved season from the last 2 seasons that Ole has been, in charge. But sama na talaga ng pakiramdam eh. How about you, Noel? How do you take these loss into consideration and what went wrong? What should we do forward?
Ayun. So, I have 3 points ngayon sa notes ko. So, syempre dapat prepared tayo. So, yung una ko is yung system talaga is wala pa dun eh. The style of play, wala pa rin dun. Kaya, nahihirapan sila. Kasi if ever mawala man si Maguire, expected na yun eh. Kasi si Maguire, expected natin, all the games, he's playing all the games eh. If mawala si Maguire, anong gagawin natin ngayon? Should we blame Maguire? Should we blame Bayi? Should we blame Lindelof?
I'm blaming El Ghazi. Washa.
So, ang problem kasi with Man United now is yung style of play wala pa. And yung quality nung midfields natin, like yung sinabi nyo guys. And ang problem doon kasi we like to play from the back. So, anong gagawin natin if wala si Maguire? Tapos, we always love to play from the back. So, ang dapat gawin natin is to buy decent center backs or CDM. Which is, naguguluhan ako kasi sa British media, ang priority palagi is winger daw, forward. Walang sense yun eh kasi bakit tayo bibili ng forward or ng wingers if we can't pass them the ball? Di ba? So, ang pinaka-important palagi is yung midfield. And isama na natin yung center backs. Knowing Oli, he loves to play from the back. Kita nyo naman, palaging sa likod yung manggagaling yung bola. So, yung second problem is yung si Henderson. Masyado siyang overhype. Feeling ko hindi pa siya ganun ka-ready for taking up the number 1 spot. Kasi playing for Sheffield, the pressure is not there. Playing for Man United, yan yung pressure. Doon natin nakikita ngayon yung game niya. Like, may mistake siya, oo, like yung second goal, yung first goal ni Jota, fault na naman niya yun eh. Kasi he keeps on, running to the ball, likes to punch the ball kahit na hindi properly punch yung ball. And dapat binigay niya na kay McTominay yun eh. If hindi nagawa ni Henderson yun, sa tingin ko nasa game pa tayo eh. Kahit pa paano. Nandun pa yung confidence. Tapos yung pangatlo is yung si Oli and the coaches are still part of that learning process din eh. Kasi palagi natin nakakalimutan na si Oli bago lang din. Hindi pa siya ganun ka-experience sa coaching and sa managing. So yun lang yung points ko kasi halos nasabi niyo naman na lahat. So yung system and style of play is not there yet. So hopefully next year with the right play or next season with the right players, mas importante yung CDM and yung center backs.
So you mentioned style of play, oh. Ay, sige. Go
Style
ahead.
of play kasi medyo if feeling ko may style of play siya pero hindi niya magawa yung gusto niya. Kasi nga with McFred,
Exactly.
you guys all said, and our center backs, kasi yung last game with Liverpool, wala kasing composure ganon si Bayi and Lindelof eh. Nagpapanik pa sila. And kailangan, kahit kay Luxo, yung clearances nila, medyo alangan sila eh. Kasi gusto nila yung dribble, hindi one-touch passing eh. So more on individual skills yung nagre-rely sila Oli.
Yes. I
So
mean,
yung
that
CDM,
part.
yung
Oh, say go ahead.
tapos sana by next year, if makuha nila yung CDM, priority dapat CDM and center backs. If gusto talaga nila yung playing from the back.
Right.
Kasi yun talaga palagi, every game playing from the back. If mag-play tayo from the back with McFred and with those center backs, we're not gonna catch up with Man City and Liverpool. We're,
I want to
we're
touch
just
on that
going
though.
to
Your
we're
style
just
of play
going
just
to
have a.
like running or like fighting for top 3, top 4, or fighting for the Champions League spot. If you want to step up or play the game, if you want to play in the Champions League and compete with other big clubs, dapat palitan si McFred and yung center back. Then you focus on getting a forward or getting the wingers.
Yeah.
Kasi very,
All
yun nga,
right.
sabi niya, very spineless tayo.
Actually, I want to touch on the style of play. No, the comment on the style of play. Like, I honestly think that there's a style of play, but medyo kulang tayo sa personnel to do it. You know, uh, as the past, I don't know, 7 seasons, I think we've always been left heavy, just because we don't have quality on the right, and that's where the right winger need comes in. Kasi wala tayong right, and if not for the improvement of Juan Bisaka this season, our right side would be devoid of anything. Mason's been adapting pretty well. Aaron has improved leaps and bounds. Like he can dribble out confidently now. For the first time, I think during the Liverpool game, he went for a diagonal cross. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh.
He doesn't do that. Dati is like go wing and then vertical cross siya. Ngayon, parang okay, he did that. So kaya pala niya. So, but then again, the personal is not there. How about you, Gab? Do you think we have a style of play? Is it there now? Is it a work in progress? And how can we build on that? Our early bird, Gab.
Wow, sorry. All right. I'm not wearing a Man United shirt right now. I'm wearing my England shirt.
Ooh, England.
Come on,
Masakit yung
England.
loss. Yeah, come on, England. Yeah, style of play. I think two things for me before I mentioned kasi na, our style of play is dictated a lot by our personnel, right? Than the other way around. Like, if you see Pep in Man City, very clear na it's system over players. Here, mas players over system. But I'd say naman, what do you call this? It's still a united kind of system. If I say united, it's like talagang marauding fullbacks, right? What do you call this? Counter-attacking, pressing high up. I'd say the key thing that's why I'm going back to the personnel is because Bruno, right, also changes the way we play. As in talagang lahat dadaan sa kanya, right? So, there is an identity, but that identity is based on players, if you think about it. While the principles are still, I don't want to say Mancunian because we're not just the clubs, but still Man United. So yeah, and right now, to be honest, I think I'm quite okay with it. With the expectations, naman, I mean, you look at the points last year, you look at where we are, and most likely, hopefully, we get a trophy. I see like 2 to 3 signings just because of the limited funds that possibly to spend. Parang we will be able to what do you call this? Get to that style of play with the right players. I think for me, it's better that Oli is talagang saying na no, build from the back, right? Do it the way that we want. So that he can see those na I don't fit right now. Then he gets the reinforcement to fit him. Rather than, okay, let's play like Jose way counter-attack lang tayo, which was in his first year, right? Halos yun lang ginagawa natin. So I think that's also a step forward. Like, this is how we want to play. We have okay players for it. Let's see who doesn't stick out. Then in the summer, let me fill those gaps. At the very least, they're building an identity moving forward.
I agree that the first a season and a half ni Ole, it's really just adapting to the others lineup, eh, diba? Parang if it's a big team, you play three at the back. But if it's a small team, you play like four at the back. But now he's sticking to the 4-2-3-1, regardless of who's injured or not injured. Talagang mapilit siya na 4-2-3-1. And he's pragmatic that way, I guess. And I hope it's his way of saying to the owners that parang, hey, you're not gonna get Champions football every year if we have this kind of shit. Right? Parang ganun eh. And yun naman habol ng owners eh, di ba? Every year, Champions League, so that you get that guaranteed income. But they don't really care if you win it or not. Kasi kikita ka eh, di ba? So, all right, so let's check out some of the comments. So Carl is here. Good evening, Carl. CDM priority. Neves is a good shout.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
speaking of Carl, no, shout out din sa kanya. Leicester have just all but signed Boubacar Somare from Lille for
You just mentioned
23
it.
million. For
Oh my God,
23
you just
million.
mentioned it.
Ang bilis nila nagawa. See?
actually,
Yun yung sinasabi ko. Although it'll probably cost more if it's us, pero
yeah,
why can't we do business that quickly? Diba?
exactly.
That guy is although he played in France, pero he played in a system that really showcased what he could do. You want a combative central defensive midfielder? That's one guy we should be going after. Yun. So, yun lang.
And I think the good news that parang open for the takings indeed. Like how fast you do that, I don't know.
Oh, problem
Diba?
Leicester not gonna sell. Ewan ko kung magkano ibibigay ng Leicester yan.
Kaya baka 80 million naman yan eh, di ba? What
Even with
I
the
mean,
pandemic,
even before the
baka
pandemic, wala yan. And speaking of
Wala.
spending, I want to touch on this because we're pissed with the Glazers and how they treat the club, but I got even more pissed with what happened to the women's team. Casey Stoney is like a terrific coach. Like he's the best coach that you can get out there. In terms of the English leagues, it's still a step down from the American leagues because Americans in the women football is like another level, man. But with hearing how they were treated, what they were promised, like they were promised back in 2018 that they'd get new facilities, get the support, get the players that you want. But obviously, Casey's had it, and you know, she walked away from it because she knows Glaciers are shit. But anyone who has an opinion on that, we don't follow the women's football that much, but seeing that context makes me real mad. Anyone who wants to jump out and just
Si Kent, may Mrs. Ayan, sila. Sige.
Okay, sige. Si Kent muna.
all right, Ken, and then let's have Julio.
I've watched some women's matches whenever I have dun sa yung sa FA player. Sayang yung binubuo ni Casey, nakapanghinayang kasi he already has the roster there. Kumbaga kulang na lang ng kaunting you have Lauren James, Ella Toon, Jackie Gronen,
Tobin Heath.
Tobin
Yep,
Heath and Kristen Press. Ang kumausap sa kanila doon para pumunta sa United ay si Casey din eh. And yung talagang naka-disappoint lang because first of all, yung training facilities. Okay, these are professional athletes. Tapos ang sinasabi yun nga hindi na yung promise na upgrade hindi na isagawa. Then yung sabi yung toilets malayo pa sa training pitch, ganun. Kaya di agad makapag-shower yung mga players after ng training. Then yung pa nila, pinagpa-practice pa sila sa at times hindi available yung training center nila. Then pinagpa-practice pa sila sa Lay Sports Village, which is napakalayo. So well, I admire Casey Stoney kasi kumbaga he did that gesture and alam na ng lahat yon na parang she's had enough. Kumbaga maraming games this season na we led the Women's Super League for quite a while pero hindi na sustain kasi walang upgrades sa roster. Again, we have to consider yung Chelsea, yung kay Emma Hayes, sinusuportahan ng ownership yon, pati yung Manchester City and Arsenal. Kumbaga, yun yung parang big three sa Women's Super League. Then tayo, ang nangyari, players went down, injured, tas walang pamalit. Tapos yun nga, dumagtag na dun yung naglal na yung results. I just hope na ma-upgrade because ang laki ng opportunity natin sa women's football din to expand our market. Doon pa nga sa pag-sign kay Heat and Press, ang dami ng American fans na mama sa club and supported the club because of that. And with the rumors of our young prospect, si Lauren James, mukhang tina-target na siya ibalik ng Chelsea. So yun
Yeah,
yung
utol liris eh.
Also, ang mangyayari dyan, let's see what happens kasi parang ang mangyayari baka magkaroon ng exodus. Yun yung kinakatakot ng karamihan ng mga nasa women's team na supporters eh. Casey Stoney was the main factor of them going to Manchester United and baka yun na ang mangyayari. And hopefully, John Murto has a lot of it on his hands regarding this women's team. I don't know if a new head coach will probably appease the supporters, but he better get a good one.
Appease.
Agree, Ken. Julio, you have some thoughts on the matter?
Yeah. I would agree naman din with Ken. And to add on dun sa mga thoughts din niya, for what it's worth, it's been a great couple of years or more na nag-serve si Casey Stoney, coaching the women's national team. It's a coup, actually. It was a coup to get her as their coach and to come up with a lineup like that. Lalo na yung pinakaunang season nila when Alex Greenwood, now with City, as their club captain at that time. Nanalo sila at the first time of asking when they got promoted to the FAWSL. It's nothing short of an achievement for a club na for the longest time, even before the Friendster era, even before the Friendster era, matalang hinahanap ko ng mga women players na magkaroon sana ng sariling team ng Manchester United. It's not just because of the name, but because it needs competition din kasi. Given na yung women's game kasi, it's still, alam mo yun, they're still trying to get a bit more of attention pa on club level, not just on the World Cup level. So with them acquiring the likes of, just like what Ken said, the likes of Tobin Heath and Kristen Press, which are World Cup winners. You have Jackie Hrunen, who's a European champion, and then you have talented players like Alicia Russo, who's currently injured pa rin, and Ivana Fuso, who's eligible to play both for Brazil and Germany. So you have a talented squad there. But the problem is, it's not just in the squad in terms of young health nila. They ended the season at 4th, 1 or 2 points shy of Arsenal.
They missed out. Yeah, they missed out on the Champions League.
Yeah, they missed out on the Champions League place there. As in, that's how close they were. If it wasn't for injuries. The facilities naman kasi, that's one issue. That's definitely something that, at least with a slight glimmer of hope, the Glazers can actually say yes, then they can support it. Provided na, if they can tempt both Heath and Press to renew their contracts. Kasi they're both on one-year contracts lang kasi.
Yeah.
Sorry, one-season contracts lang eh. If they can tempt both to stay pa despite their advancing age. Both are already in their 30s. So there's the risk there. The other matters kasi that you have to consider is, of course, Casey Stoney resigning. At this point in time, there's only one manager that I can think of right now. Yung manager ng Arsenal, he's already stepping down. I completely forgot his name.
Right.
But he has that caliber. And he has guided players like Jill Roord and Vivian Miedema, one of the star players in the Netherlands, teammates with Jackie Hrunen. He has the capability then of guiding a club like Manchester United. But with the way things going right now, and can you imagine it's trickling down din sa women's team, nakakasimula lang for less than 2 seasons. Nakakahiya. So, the Exodus naman, if it happens, I wouldn't be surprised na we will see a dip in form naman doon sa team. But if it doesn't, given yung strength naman ng squad, with the players naman coming in that they're becoming healthy na ulit, medyo nalilesen na yung injury listings na that they have naman, there's hope naman din for the future. But it all boils down kasi on, it's not just the investment eh. How much will they focus on getting the next best coach that they can get and how much quality players that they can get. I can think of a few, pero puro forwards din. Just like the men's game. Puro forwards lang din. I would like to throw my hat on, let's say, Chelsea's Ji So-yoon. She's just like the male version of Jisung Park, but she can score too. Definitely score. Ji So-yoon.
Well, that's exciting.
You have
You had
You
me at
have
Kusung North.
Yeah.
there you go.
So hindi
There you go.
napapagod to.
Things turning. You also have Wolfsburg's and Netherlands teammate ni Jackie Roon and si Shanice van de Sanden. Kung nakikita niyo yung Pepsi commercial ni Paul Pogba, siya yung blondie na babae doon. She's really good and she's very
Right.
aggressive on the right. She's good. So if there's a chance na, well, we're kind of shooting for the stars here. For the women's team, given yung gulo ngayon sa club Pero if there's a chance na may makuha sila ng mga marquee players pa, even at the back kasi we already have one in Torres Dotir. We got one defender from Chelsea. So things are looking up naman din, pero it all boils down kasi on those factors that Kent already mentioned. So we'll have to wait and see. So here's to the next season na.
Yeah, and that really point, I guess, kumbaga overachieving din sila, given the timeline that they had. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back is really the promises that were made. Promises were made to improve the facility, to make it adaptable, to make it usable for the ladies, but it didn't happen, and that's where Carl comments is really, kumbaga, napaka-applicable niya, na yeah, you have some PR statements now, but we don't really believe that until we.
Your
We see
statement
the
is
proof in the
good, but we need cash.
Yes, there you go.
Man.
Ganun na nga. All right. So, the last 2 weeks, we're wrapping up the season. We have 2 more games at home, and then we go to Gdansk. How do you think we'll adapt? Do we still go for second place, like guarantee second place, or do we just play out the kids and just go to Gdansk cut free? There's a balance of preventing injuries and also getting that momentum going, especially now that we're coming off 2 losses. So you, Gary, what do you think we should prioritize?
Well, this is gonna underscore the fact that for the last 2 games of the season, fans are gonna be let back in. So that's a big incentive for Ollie to try and field a strong team against Fulham. They have this weekend, and then I think the game is on Wednesday. So this is a chance for the players to actually perform in front of the fans. We just need 2 points out of the last 6 to guarantee second. Let's go for it na sa Fulham, and then rotate na lang for Wolves sa last game, and then make sure that everybody's healthy for Gdansk. Now, obviously, Harry Maguire's absence has left a very big hole, and I want to take this opportunity to call out all the fans that have been basically slagging Harry Maguire. So, ngayon nakita nyo kung gaano kalaking nawala sa atin when he went down. Okay?
Yung isa dyan,
So,
idol ni Marshall, diba?
Yun. Hindi,
Even the older
pag-usapan niya.
fans.
So, diba, you can all go with the Oli outers, doon muna kayo sa tabi. Okay? So, it's really, people talk about price, but that's a totally different topic. Kasalanan ni Neymar to eh. So, but anyway, I think we're going to go full strength sa Fulham kasi babawi tayo. And sorry na lang sa Fulham and Scott Parker, but sila pagbubunto na natin, and then we'll rotate, and then
Kabayan.
we'll go all out kay Gdansk.
Sorry kay Kabayan, no? Si Ariola.
I do have a question though.
Huh?
I do have a question though. Kay
Sige, go ahead.
Gary, kasi every time
Sure.
kasi that I check the comments kasi for both Facebook groups, ang parating ina-emphasize kasi ni Gary is the importance kasi ng central defensive midfield. I believe Fulham has one. I'm not so sure if yun yung natural position, but they have a player in Zambo Anguissa. Zambo Anguissa and
Anguissa is-
I know it's of a needed importance kasi for a club like Man United to have a player like that. Of course, sa Wolves kasi given that they have Ruben Neves, but we have Fulham first. So we have those 2 players kasi who are capable kasi of playing in the midfield. Now they're not exactly like, let's say, on the level ni Wilfred Ndidi or Yuri Tielemans, yung mga nakalaban, yung mga taga-Leicester, or the very least Gini Wijnaldum na Liverpool. Pero Gary, do you see any chance na Ole might be scouting one of the 2 of them, or just just letting them by, just taking notes lang on them, you think? Or have you observed Zambo Anguissa at least before in previous games?
Yes, actually, si Anguissa, I would probably put him in that he reminds me a lot of sino yun sa Watford before si Ducour.
Ducour.
Yeah.
Ducour.
Si Tuchel?
So
Okay, okay.
yeah. So it would be good for I think they have a list na of targets that they want to get. Siyempre everybody's gonna talk about the sexy names. Diba? You have your
Mga
Declan
mahal.
Rices and your Wilfred Ndidis and your pero and I've also maintained this the whole time na if we can just get a player, and then Ken touched on this also, that can play in the system, that only wants to play and is able to perform that function at a very high level, na hindi naman natin kailangan gumastos, because let's face it, we're not going to get 400 million from the owners anytime soon. So well, we've been waiting for 16 years anyway. uh Yes, I think Neves and Anguissa. I just had to put that in. Sorry, Neves and Anguissa are live targets. I will say that. May ano yan, may listahan na yan. It depends whether we want to get a CDM that's pass oriented, that's a distributor, or do we want somebody na combative that will win the ball to be able to push everybody forward. So depende sa style na gustong ni Oli.
To be fair, McTominay and Fred can be decent ball winners. It's just the next pass that's lacking, no. So given that situation, no, we don't have the 400 million yet. We don't have the transfer window open. How are you going to adjust with the problems that we have, the injuries and the first choice midfielders? I want to go to Charles. So coming from
Sige.
the Liverpool game, we know the shortages already. We know our shortcomings during the Liverpool game. What kind of adjustments do we need to do in the Fulham game, given the personnel that we have?
Okay. Unfortunately, we have to make do with Bailly, Lindelof again in center defense. I just want to highlight to everybody, not to knock on Fulham fans, but then that's the current form of Fulham right now, right? That's a loss, loss, draw, loss, loss. Okay, and then Fulham are currently sitting third from bottom of the table, so we
Yeah,
should
that's a perfect
handily
game
win
for
the
us to
next.
lose, actually.
Well, yeah. That's the kind of
Jeez.
season we've been having. Maybe what we can do is we can just allow them to score the first goal, like right at kickoff, and then we can get it going. Okay? All right. So, a couple of other points. There's this other guy that unfortunately, one of those examples of somebody who got let through the cracks, and this guy has been with us for the longest time, and he has witnessed all of this Glazer crap that we've dealt with. Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Rejuvenated.
New lease on life.
Man.
Right? Look at this guy. If there's a way,
Yan na ba?
diba?
Yan na ba
If there's a
magiging the one that got away?
if
Thought-
there's a way that he comes back next season and then he becomes really, diba, parang the best player that he can be, he'd be a great first team player for us. Okay, he can challenge Pogba and Bruno for an actual position given his current form. Okay, I said it. He's really good. We've had him this entire time. Again, tracking back past couple of games, really bad. But then let's take a look at the past couple of seasons. We have two of the best coaches ever, Mourinho, Van Hal. I mean, these guys slipped through the cracks. Okay, we have had several do-overs. The Moyes that was Alex's call, right? But then we've had several do-overs already, and we really can't afford to do another do-over because the last do-over we did, it's Oli. Okay, the current version, the current reboot of our Manchester United franchise, it's Oli, and remember again, interim manager siya. Tapos, ang ganda ng form. Tapos, something happened along the way. Okay? Nagbago yung form niya. Buwapak. Parang, nag-nosedive yung form ng buong club. You recall, that was at the tail end of last season before when we had all of those David De Gea mistakes, etc. Now, I don't wanna. I'm knocking on all of the wood that I can right now. We just lost 2 straight games. Okay. We're at the tail end of the season that really we overachieved, guys. This season, given all of the challenges, given all of these uh, external club pressures that we continue to face. I mean, let's be honest, guys. The reason why this fixture list is screwed up is because of the protests, right? Because of everything that happened outside the football. So all of that's unfortunate. But then there's a time and place to talk about all of those things. Next couple of games, we should win handily. Both games, even the Wolves game. The Wolves game, it'll be a little bit more challenging than Fulham. I agree completely with Cap. Let's give the all of the old guys who are leaving, all of the young guys who are here to stay, a chance to do a decent run around in the last Wolves game because by then we expect to have won already second place. And hopefully, wala nang ma-injure pa dun sa mga starting 11 natin na maglalaro against Villarreal.
I want to touch on the Lingard thing, no. Lingard staying will not have the same results. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Kumbaga, it's a mix of he's in his comfort zone, and another is like he's kumbaga all had this negative energy while he was at Old Trafford.
Mhm.
So he needed that. He needed that loan. If he didn't go on loan, he would not have that form.
Mhm.
And to be fair, also to Ole, during his interim season, the reason we lost form is because we weren't fit. Not as fit as now. Like because Mourinho didn't really have those fitness routines down. Hindi niya style yan eh. Kasi his style is park the bus, be safe with the ball, don't take risk, and just do the easy pass. Diba? So,
It
wala
goes to show,
siyang...
yeah, just to respond to your point
Sige.
that unfortunately the system we have right now, just the system that we have right now, unfortunately, it's not conducive for a Jesse Lingard because you put him in a West Ham system, all of a sudden, bam, he's player of the season or player of the month. Wala, alam mo yun,
Kasi
parang
parang siya
all
ni
of a
Bruno eh.
sudden,
They're free roamers eh.
oo,
Kumbaga if you see, Lingard does not do the Bruno passes eh. But he does the pressing runs where he gets to get the ball and
yung
shoot
makulit
the
na
ball.
taas.
Oh, pero he doesn't do the Bruno passes, which we need against the low blocks, to be fair. But
I
then
agree completely.
again, we could have used his depth basically at this point. So we don't have any depth now whatsoever. You have
Yeah,
Bruno, you
but I
have
do have a question on that. I do have a question on that, Jeff. Kasi
Hmm.
with Lingard coming back kasi towards the end of the season, given yung stats and the things that he's done kasi for the Hammers, with the things that we're lacking kasi in midfield, in deeper positions in midfield, tsaka sa defense, we still have this number 10 conundrum. We have Bruno Fernandes. We have Paul Pogba, who can also play as a number 10, apart from being an 8 and a 6. You have Juan Mata. Yeah, you have Donny van de Beek, who's a different number 10, way back in his Ajax days pa. And then you have Lingard. So with this, and well, if I want to throw my hat also, in Marcus Rashford, who can also play as number 10. Kasi I think I do see the sense of him that he also wants to get involved kasi in the thick of the action.
he wants that
Rather
ball
than-
at feet kasi eh. Oh.
Parang
Yeah,
Rooney.
yeah. Yes,
Uh-uh.
yes, there you go. Just like Rooney, just like yung recent news about him. So ang question ko sa inyo guys, kasi since we have this conundrum, do you think at some point next season that can these players play together, or at least 1, 2, or 3 of them in a game? Do you see
Yeah,
it happening?
I'll let Noel or Gab take on this. Noel, Gab, any thoughts on that?
The yung the ones that you mentioned as a number 10 you're
Yes,
asking
yes. Kasi
Mhm.
next season kasi we'll be having all of these players ulit eh. Cramping in just one position, 1 or 2 positions. Eh.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yun yung question ko ngayon eh. Parang, yeah, they do have different qualities. Like si
Mhm.
Donovan, he likes to create
Yeah.
that space. Si Lingard
Yeah.
can press, etc. But
yeah
if they play
yeah
together, what will happen? Will it work? You think guys, will it work?
yeah
Sige.
I think sorry if I can take this. So I think Rashford for sure will be on the left. I think right now for me the biggest key thing is how you play Donny, Fred tuloy. Donny, Bruno, and Pogba. If Rashford is on the left, and we get Sancho on the right. Yeah, but overall, I think having these qualities that you can be a 10, right? I think ultimately, naman at the end of the day, works especially for Ole, especially if you see that movement in a Rashford, even Greenwood right now pumapalit-palit sila, diba? It gives you the shades of the Rooney, Tevez, and Ronaldo, which for me were like, my God, that was the ultimate front three. So yeah, I don't think, for me, if I were Ole, I don't think like nobody's established in that front four or five, right? It's a flux kind of method. I just say na parang Cavani lang is very sure na siya yung 9 na nandun sa gitna. I mean, if you look at it, even Cavani goes wide minsan. No? But yeah, so good to have all those qualities. I don't think Ole will be someone na parang, hanggang dyan ka lang, hanggang dito ka lang. Because, he likes to just, really enjoy that flux that the front 4 or 5 get to. It is the freedom, right, that they get to have.
Right. Noel, how about you?
So for me, kasi Bruno is irreplaceable as of now eh. So si Rashford sa left, si Bruno sa 10, and as of now, si Greenwood ang right winger natin na na nagpo-produce ng quality eh. Like missing in action sila Mata, si Dan James. So with quality playing with them together, if the style of play kasi is nandun, kasi yun nga sabi nyo is yung nag-switch yung players like si Rashford, nag-switch minsan sila ni Greenwood, and then si Cavani, minsan si Pogba nag-switch, si Bruno nag-switch, minsan nasa left. Si Sancho, if makuha talaga nila si Sancho is the perfect player for the right wing eh. Si Donny naman kasi is very lost pa si Donny. Hindi pa niya alam yung role niya. We tried putting him on the left, and you can see naman na hindi niya kayang mag full sprint talaga like Rashford. So for me, Donny should be in the pivot eh. Kasi he's not that type of player up front.
There you go.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Kasi whole player siya, like one touch passing, hindi niya kaya like yung ginagawa ng style ng United talaga before na like wingers talaga na takbo. So si Donny should be on the pivot. He should not really be at the 10th position eh. Hindi feeling ko sa Ajax kasi kaya niya kasi may one touch passing sila doon. But for United, yun nga sabi niyo before kanina na more on individual skills tayo eh. Wala pa tayo like yung one touch passing style of play. Kaya hindi ma-improve ni Donny yung front natin. So si Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left. Feeling ko si Lingard should be really let go of na. Kasi he've had this chances sa United for like 2 years.
70 million West Ham, he's yours.
We should really do a deal with Rice.
They're 30 mil and Lingard for Rice, diba?
May deal na pwedeng gawin with Rice.
Tama pa si Phil Jones.
We'll throw in Phil Jones for free.
Si G, hindi na talaga pwede maglaro si Romero. Kahit gusto
Romero's
yung Maliori,
not part of the roster.
Hindi na pwede talaga.
Hindi siya
kahit hindi na talaga pwede. Like, any competition, wala na. Anyway, we've come to the end part.
Grasya dapat bumalik.
Hindi na yun. But coming to the end of the wrapping up the stream, no? What tinkering would you do for the Fulham game? Like, coming from we know the middle four is kind of a problem. So who would you change in that middle four? Like Bailly, Lindelof, McFred. Who would you change there with our current personnel? Sige, Gary. Quick lang.
Okay. Siguro if I were Oli, I'd switch to a different shape. I won't go with the 4-2-3-1. I'd probably go with 3 at the back just to offset yung disadvantage natin in that regard. Probably I wouldn't put it out of the realm of impossibility na we could have a back three of Juan Bisaca as right center. Tapos you have Lindelof and Bailly because he can also nilagay na siya doon in the past eh. And then probably go with the 3-4-1-2. I'm not sure how the coaching staff is going to fix that particular part of it, pero I would want to have them as a back three para lang ma-compensate yung role na pinupuno ni Harry Maguire dati. Yun, back three.
Okay. Noel, how about you? How would we adjust that 4 in the middle of the field?
For me, ako mag-stick ako with the 4 sa likod. Kasi feeling ko si Bayi dapat hindi naglaro eh. Feeling ko dapat si Axel. Kasi si Axel played a really good game against Leicester. Kahit pa paano. And nagulat ako na hindi siya nilaro sa Liverpool.
Keep the form going, no?
Si Axel tuloy-tuloy nyo kasi never siya nabigyan ng tuloy-tuloy na chances. Palaging another 2 games sa FA Cup, ganito. So make Axel the partner for Lindelof. And then I'd stick with the Luke Shaw, then Lindelof and Axel, then
how about
Juan
the midfield?
Bissaka.
How about the midfield? How would you change that? Or okay ka na doon? Si Tuanzebe na lang.
McFred na lang din kasi we don't have any choice eh. If we stick with Matic kasi as much as I want to replace McFred, wala tayong magagawa eh. Di ba?
Ikaw, Julio, ikaw,
it's reality, di ba?
What's your take on that?
Reality.
Ayun. I was actually trying to let Noel finish kasi maganda yung insight niya kasi about Axel Tuanzebe. He has a point there. And Axel, for me, I second this opinion. He should have started against Liverpool. Pero with the circumstances kasi ngayon, since siguro naman may pahinga na yung mga players, pwede na mag-risk siguro at back 4. Pero this time around, with Bayi still trying to feel himself siguro sa game despite all of these weird runs that he's done against Roma and Liverpool. Maybe it's time for Axel to get his chance this time with Lindelof. Diba? Pero ang question ko kasi ngayon dun is, will Oli go for Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, or will he give minutes to Alex Telles and Brandon Williams? Given the rumors kasi ngayon na parang they're not getting any minutes, they're gonna be linked again in the transfer window na naman. I'm sure of that. Alam mo naman ang English press. So back 4 most likely. For the goalkeeper pala muna, I forgot. Maybe we would go for Dean Henderson ulit, I guess. Kasi I believe they will save De Gea kasi for the final given the efforts that he's done for the Europa League. He deserves that this time. I mean, di ba yung huling panalo sa Europa League, Sergio Romero was given a full run of the tournament and he started in the final naman. So I believe De Gea deserves that. But for him to earn that siguro, I guess Oli would give him a rest a bit and mag-start si Dean Henderson. Pero as for their strengths, I guess it's for another topic na siguro in another day. For the midfield, McFred din, I'm sure may pahinga na yung dalawa. So definitely nakakapagpahinga na sila. They will make amends on this one. Ang question ko na lang kasi ngayon is if Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Sambo Anguissa kasi are both fit, if they're playing, it will pose a different challenge altogether. The last time kasi that they played Fulham kasi Pogba had to bail them out during that game sa Craven Cottage.
Yeah.
It might be of the same scenario din pa rin, I guess. Pero with the fans coming in, even if it's just 6K lang naman na fans, I'm sure there will be a
10K.
factor in there. Yeah, ayun, there you go. Thank you, Jeff. So there might be a factor there. So yun, McFred pa rin, and then Bruno and Pogba. And then Greenwood may start. Unless na lang if some of the kids will be given a chance to like si Ahmad, or if he's fit again, si Dan James. Kasi given
I think the forward line is pretty much parang okay na tayo kung sino
Okay na tayo sa forward line.
It's really kung sino papalitan mo sa Liverpool game diba?
Ang inaalala ko lang kasi yung side notes kasi kay Rashford kasi on his day naman kasi when he's 100% fit talaga he can pull off all of those tricks. He can really score. Pero with this rumored, I believe shoulder injury, no?
Yes.
I think something's really happening in his game. Parang he's playing at around 60 to 75%. Parang ganun. So he's really much hampered eh. Pati yung sa mga runs niya eh, talagang parang may pigil eh. Hindi katulad kay Greenwood eh, na all out eh. So yeah, he might start. Pero at some point, Cavani has to start also. So it's a choice
Yeah.
that Oli can definitely make naman din without that much headaches lang naman din. So that's pretty much for me.
Ikaw, Gab, out of the four in the middle, the defenders and the two holding midfielders, the pivot, what changes would you make from the Liverpool game?
Dude, drop Fred, drop McTominay. Sorry. Like, last two games na, please, Ole. Please just let the boys play. I mean, the fact that he substituted Fred with Greenwood, I was like, man, pwede pala yun? pwede pala yun? You go attacking for that for someone in that double pivot, sir. I mean, come on, it's Fulham, please, and Wolves. So for me, I'd want him to test Donny. Donny is not a 6 for sure, but I'd still want him sana to I mean, let's say occupy the McTominay role, I'd say. Then Matic, I'm picking Matic for Fulham. So para lang may stabilizer ka. So I'd say the 4 can keep itself. I'd want sana Axel to go either over Bailly or hindi naman injured si Bailly, no? When he was substituted.
No.
Thankfully,
Okay,
hindi.
okay. Okay. So yeah, so I
As of
Oh, no.
today. As of today.
Yeah.
Baka madulas.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Ole will go kasi with Pogba on the left, right? Then I'll get VDB, Van de Beek, and Matic. Then on the 4, I'd sana prefer ko Axel, Bailly, then of course our ever reliable Shaw and AWB.
Right, cool. Kent, ikaw, what adjustments will you make?
Sa akin, more of yung kay Gab, yung kasi makalat yung McFred. Kailangan talaga yung kay Donny van de Beek, we need him to have chances to reinvent his game sa United. Kumbaga kailangan niya mag-fit sa sistema. Nandiyan na Nandiyan na yung football IQ, passing ability, control. Kailangan lang natin siya hubugin dun sa style kung saan siya mas komportable at kung saan siya magta-thrive, kung saan magagamit yung attributes niya. So yun,
Tsaka masipag siya.
masipag, yung hardworking, di nagko-complain. And ako napapansin nyo parang he doesn't give up on any play. Kumbaga push lang ng push. Yung motor niya grabe. So so from si McTominay sub off, then si starting si Donny, then kay Fred, well, yun nga, katulad din sinabi ni Gab, kahit sino nga pwede. Pero Matic, kasi kailangan mo ng extra cover dun sa para lang sigurado sa dalawang center back na sa dulo. Sensible din yung 3-man sa likod. I think we did it sa Paris, yung dumayo tayo sa Paris yata before. Then we won. Ginagawa na natin yun And siguro na lang, give chances to Ahmad, Axel, palit na muna si Bay, try muna na si Axel yung mag-operate alongside Victor.
Lindelof.
Charles, how about you? Barney.
Yeah, I agree. The main concern is that the skipper is injured. Therefore, we have zero ball playing central defender. So, si Iceman needs to fulfill that position. Therefore, there needs to be an athletic person next to him, and that can be Axel Panzibi in my head. Undroppable left and right. We have Shaw and Juan Bisaka. But then really, if I can give maybe Teles a run around, give him a start in Fulham. Of course, we're dealing with Fulham. At the same time, you want to think about getting all 3 points already. Pero we need Luke Shaw and Juan Bisaka healthy for the game against Villarreal. So, nasa handle with care for me. For the midfield, yes. There are 2 games left in the season. This is the best time for Oli to shuffle his pack and get the most creative decisions out there, I would go with natatawa ako kasi everybody says, like, two people have said already, oh sige, McFred na nga lang kasi talagang ganun eh. Talagang effective pala talaga eh. So,
Pero in
I
reality, ganun
would
eh.
give,
Parang McDo, yun na lang yun eh.
oo eh.
Oo, wala na.
Wala na
Di ba?
akong
Kasi
pipilian eh.
we're talking rotation eh. We're talking Fulham, we're talking rotation. And then, it really does make sense. But then ngayon, since we can afford to be more creative, please give Van de Beek a good run around. I would give him siguro siya, imbis na, okay, I can go with either of McTominay or Fred starting. Okay? Palitan mo lang ng Van de Beek yung
And
isa.
then second
Maybe
half.
try sa second half or something like that. Pero really, you need to revisit already ngayon. This early pa lang, like 2 games before the end of the season, let's revisit already that double pivot. It should be Bruno, Pogba, and then somebody behind them protecting. So whoever that is, finifigure out na dapat. By now, baka pwedeng sampulan na, pwedeng si Matic. Problema, pag si Matic, si Pogba, tsaka si Bruno, lahat napakabagal. Yung collective pace
wala
mo sa
ng
gitna,
legs.
parang nasa mga 6.
Pwede
Ano,
pagsabayan
yung
si
average
Madrid
mo,
at si
si Matic,
Pogba.
44 lang. Oh. So, tapos kulang na lang doon si Mata para talagang udang bagal lang yung lahat. Anyway, for the front three, it's pretty straightforward. I would like for Mata to get a run around, especially in the last game. I think si Mata has been a great servant, a great role model for the club, and he deserves a good send-off. Cavani, I can actually afford to not play Cavani anymore until the finals. Just avoid the worst case scenario kasi pag ma-injure si Cavani, delikado ka pa dyan sa Europa League Finals. So, for the midfield, we can do, I'd say McTominay. Let's give McTominay a spot behind Van de Beek in one of the roaming midfield roles. For me, start either of Pogba or Bruno for Fulham just to get the message out there that we're out to win this. Maybe do it with Bruno. And then for the top,
those front four is like stable na yan eh. It's
ayan,
either
yun
Greenwood
na
or
talaga
Rash
yung kailangan.
talaga eh. Oo.
Yeah.
For
And,
Fulham, I would.
I agree
For
that Axel and
Fulham,
Lindelof
I
should
would
be given
bench
time.
Rashford.
Yeah. He's too played. I mean,
So,
I mentioned
for
that in another
striker,
stream.
For striker, maybe Greenwood would have a nice shot at number 9, just for the next couple of games. Let's try that out and have some other right winger, maybe Daniel James, for the industry and the pace.
I'm not sure if
Pero,
James
yeah, I
yata
think-
is still, I don't know, still injured.
Oh, is there any chance that Maguire plays the Europa League Finals? Wala, no?
We're saving him
wala
for
na,
the
he's out of the
final.
They're not
Premier League
providing
games are out of the question.
They're not eh. So, he's still a doubt eh. Pero we're all hoping actually. Na sana he
Sa
will be
final
fit.
siya sinisave. But the Premier League games, wala na talaga.
No.
So yeah.
Si Cavani, you should put him in, alam mo yung trading card, yung ilalagyan mo ng screw, yung isuscrew mo pa, yung 4 na sides para just keep him safe until the Europa League Finals.
Di na uso ngayon yan, Charles. Ang uso ngayon, mag. Yung magnet. Yun yung uso ngayon, magnetized. No? But yeah, I agree that Axel and Lindelof should be, we need stability in the back. So at the very least, you just pull out one and then retain the other 3. But, sa midfield talaga, take out McFred and then have Donny and Matic. Just try it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Jeff, really
before
quick lang.
Sige.
Yeah. And speaking of Bruno, I just want to congratulate him for registering the best ever goal scoring season by a midfielder in Premier League history.
Breaking, ano na ba?
He's broken Frank Lampard's record.
Lampard's.
So
right.
I think he scored about 27, 28 goals.
27.
And diba, I don't want to hear people saying that he only scores penalties, okay? So, yun.
Yeah.
Manood po kayo.
That's part
Yan,
of the
yun lang ang
strategy.
sabihin ko.
Kudos to the
And before-
manager for cutting the deck.
Oh yeah. And, speaking from experience, mahirap makascore ng penalties even in CFL.
Oh yeah.
No.
So it's really tough. So kudos to
Before
Bruno.
I close off the show, no, we want to congratulate our newly engaged panelists. Well, congratulations.
Thank you guys.
Best wishes.
Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Sayang
Thank you.
mag-isa lang siya. Dapat kasi tandem sila today.
Busy daw.
Busy. Nahiya pa. next time we'll have her here.
Okay, thank you, guys.
It's been a great show. We've been like an hour and 20 minutes. So thank you guys for all your insights. Gary, as usual. Noel and Julio, thank you for the debuts. Charles, Gab, Kent, thank you for the usual support. Great insight,
Always.
guys. As for the others, do join us. Not just the chat, though. Siguro sana makasama din namin kayo sa panel. Like Noel. Si Noel, dati chat niya, he's in the panel. So, it's not that, it may seem intimidating, pero may tatawid mo lang din yan talaga.
Oo.
Matatawid mo
Sa
na rin
umpisa
yan.
lang, sa umpisa lang.
Oo.
We're all just having fun here. By
Yeah.
the 5th minute, you're just having fun, and then yeah. So
Oh,
thank you, guys.
Charles, ano yung nakakatulong sa'yo para pakita mo yung
Preparation.
nakakatulong sa'yo. Tsaka yung hawak mo dyan. May hawak ka dyan eh.
Microphone, yung cellphone ko, ano pa ba yung
Wala na yung isa.
Ayaw
Wala na yung iba.
Inubos
Empty pa,
na.
empty pa. Ayun pala. Alright. But thank you guys again. Thank you to our viewers for joining us. Thank you for usual G. Lawrence has their own also line of predictions. So thank you again. We'll see you next week, hopefully after a win. So let's lock up that second place and go to the dance unscathed. Thank you guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.